Well, alright everyone, and welcome to another 9to5Mac Weekly. This week was an interesting one because depending on when this actually is releasing, hopefully we got our Vision Pro pre-orders in already. So leave some comments down below if you guys did pre-order one, because I'm very curious to know how many people are actually spending $3,500 to pre-order this AR/VR headset. But then also our very own editor-in-chief, Chance Miller, got some hands-on demo time that we're going to talk about in this video, and some other auxiliary things like the Apple Watch band returning, unfortunately. But without further ado, let's talk about exactly what happened this week in the Apple world. Let's get into it. So like I mentioned, hopefully by this point we have already made our pre-orders for the Vision Pro. Both myself and Jeff are picking one up so we can get a deep dive and kind of delve into exactly what the Vision Pro is and how to use it and what the experience is like. So if you guys want to hear a little bit more in depth of what that ordering process was like and the pre-ordering and the Face ID like measuring and calibration, be sure to check out our most recent podcast, 9to5Mac Overtime, because we go a little bit more in depth and nuance into what that whole experience was like. But I do want to bring up the fact that our very own Chance Miller, our editor-in-chief, had the ability to get a 30-minute demo directly from Apple in New York City earlier this week. And I'll link his article down in the description below if you guys do want to get a first-hand look on exactly what his experience was like. But the census was that after leaving that demo, he is leaving more excited than he was before that demo itself, which is a great thing to hear because he did get some time with it at WWDC about 6-7 months ago, and now coming back to it with a little bit more of a refined demo, it gets him even more excited. Now, he did mention that the Vision Pro headset itself is relatively heavy, but he said that after about 30 minutes of use, his head got used to it, and it wasn't really a detriment to the usability and the experience. But then he does reiterate that he is an AirPods Max user and he has those on for hours on end, which is a pretty heavy set of headphones, so maybe he was, passively already training his neck and his head to actually be able to use the Vision Pro long term. But overall, the experience was amazing. He said that he was very, very impressed with the actual cameras and sensors, being able to pick up all the different motions and movements of his hands without having to be kind of obvious about it, so he doesn't really need to stick out his hands right in front. His hands kind of remained on his lap and he was able to control the whole Vision OS experience. So I'm very excited for it. Like I mentioned, definitely take a read of that article because he goes very in depth with everything that he tested. So he's able to test out spatial video. He got some demos of what Disney Plus is going to look like. He got an Alicia Keys demo. So a lot of the spatial video and the spatial audio is kind of what they were pushing forward. But he also got the ability to test out things like the virtual keyboard and go into Safari and go into Keynote and things like that. So definitely read that article, but I'm very excited to get my hands on it on February 2nd, hopefully. So in other news, it looks like the ban on sales on the Apple Watch Series 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is returning on January 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And the reason this is happening is because the ITC ruled against Apple when it comes to the patent infringement from the company Massimo. So unfortunately, starting January 18th, Apple is going to still be able to sell the Series 9, but they will be pushing a software update to newly sold Apple Watches. So if you have a previous Apple Watch Series 9, or even 8, 7, or I believe 6 is when the O2 sensor really released, you can't actually remove the O2 sensor or software update that sensor away, but with the new ones that are being sold, moving forward from January 18th, you will not be able to use the O2 sensor. And basically what the ITC said is that Apple is infringing on these patents, saying that having considered all the 4 factors in the recent EOE branch ruling, we lift the interim stay and deny Apple's motion. We reach no conclusion on the merits of the appeal. So again, Apple is losing that appeal, which means that the O2 sensor for now, at least the way that it stands, is not going to be available on any Apple Watches moving forward, sold directly from Apple. Now again, I did mention that if you currently have an Apple Watch that does have that O2 sensor, the update will not wash away that O2 sensor capability, but if you buy a new watch moving forward, that O2 sensor will physically still be there, I believe, but will be removed via software. So let me know in the comment down below what you think of this. This is the first time that I've actually noticed this happen in Apple's history. I'm sure it's happened in the past, but this is kind of a big deal. It first happened right before Christmas time, so Apple had to literally remove Apple Watches, the Apple Watch Series 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra off the shelves, and they were only selling the Apple Watch SE for about 3 or 4 days, and then Apple got this appeal that they were able to then resell the same Apple Watches, and after that month-long investigation, the ITC ruled against Apple, saying like, hey, you guys are literally using the same thing that Massimo created. Either change it completely, use a different technology, or remove it completely. So Apple for now is removing it until they come up with some other type of tech to be able to do the O2 sensor on the Apple Watches, which is kind of insane because the Apple Watch is the best-selling watch of all time. Not smartwatch, but the best-selling watch of all time, so I know it's a big chunk of it. Now, I'm not somebody that uses the O2 sensor too often, so leave a comment down below if you use it. But I know that some people like to use it. Who knows how accurate it really is and things like that, but it is something that has to be forcefully removed from an Apple product, which I've actually never seen before. And the final big news that happened this week was actually the fallout that occurred after Epic won their battle against Apple. So if you guys aren't aware, just a quick little recap. Epic Games, which is the founders and actual creators of Fortnite, removed Fortnite from the App Store a couple years ago now at this point. Because of the App Store's rules and regulations that they've had since the very beginning, Apple takes a 30% cut of anything of an in-app purchase, whether that is the app price itself or any in-app purchase inside of that application. And Epic was saying that this was unfair, it was an antitrust breach and things like that. So what they did was they actually posted a link inside of their app to go outside of the App Store, outside the Fortnite app, and then buy the purchases on Epic Games' actual website, which forgoes that 30% commission that Apple takes. But Apple, this is against regulations of the App Store, so they actually removed Epic Games completely from the App Store, and then the lawsuit began to happen. So technically, the company Epic did win the lawsuit, so Apple now does have to allow for third-party applications to allow people to link outside of that app, which is great to hear, but Apple still takes a 27% commission of all app purchases outside of that application. And this is kind of intense because Apple is being very rigid with this. They're not really budging. I think it did reduce the percentage from 30 to 27%. And then also small businesses under $1 million of revenue are taking a 12% cut, so they do get a reduced rate. So now apps technically can link outside of the app to lead people to a purchase, but Apple's still taking 27% of that cut. And then also, in addition to that 27% cut, Apple is telling developers they'll need to provide accounting details for all out-of-app purchases, plus the company has the right to audit developers' accounting to ensure compliance. So Apple is kind of playing this accounting role, this compliance role, and they can actually audit companies and audit developers and audit applications that are maybe hiding money away or sneaking money away because technically they owe that money to Apple by law. Now, a lot of companies are still going to take Apple to court and to kind of fight this commission percentage because I don't know, I'm all about capitalism, but sometimes it seems unfair because the App Store is the gateway to all applications, but without the App Store, these developers would not have the ability to make money anyway. So leave a comment down below. It's definitely a tricky situation and an issue where it kind of is, the chicken and the egg first, like who has the right to do what. I'm all ears to hear exactly what you guys have to say in the comments down below, but for me, I'm kind of in the middle. Developers without the App Store couldn't make any money, but then at the same time, the App Store couldn't make any money without these developers and vice versa. So let's see exactly what happens long term, but for now, apps can link outside of the application, but Apple's still taking a cut of that. And then the final little bit of news that we did get this week is that Apple did announce their new Unity wallpaper and Unity Sport band for the Apple Watch, and then the wallpapers for the iPhone and the iPad. So the Unity band is going to start at $49, and it comes for the 41 and the 45mm variant, as well as in a small, medium, and large size for the actual length of the wrist and things like that. And I think it looks great. It is a mostly black actual colorway with some blooming flowers on there with the corresponding colors of red and green. And then it's going to match really nicely with the watch face on watchOS 10.3. So if you're on the beta right now, you technically have access to it. Same goes with iOS 17.3. It is in the RC, which did recently release this week. So if you guys do want to check it out and you are on the beta program, by all means, go for it. If not, next week it'll be available to everybody in the public when 17.3, watchOS 10.3 are released. And then, like I said, the band will be $49 directly from Apple. So that will do it for this video, everybody. Like you saw, Vision Pro is definitely taking the headlines because one of our very own got some review time and some demo time with the Vision Pro. Hopefully by now we do have it pre-ordered and we will be ready to go on February 2nd to go pick it up and get it ready to go to review for everybody. We're going to be doing some unboxings. I'm going to try to bring you guys along the way and kind of vlog the experience overall and see exactly what that entire process is like. So definitely stay subscribed and stay tuned for the Vision Pro because there's a lot of expectation from my end at $3,500, and that doesn't even include the taxes and fees and things like that. So it better be a great computer. I know it's a first-gen product, but it still better wow us overall. But that's going to do it, everybody. Leave some comments down below about what you think happened this week. Talk Vision Pro. Talk about the Apple Watch band again and things like that. Leave some comments down below and we'll discuss. If you made it to the very end, leave a little dolphin in the comments so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch some more iOS, iPadOS, macOS, or now VisionOS videos, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.